Hi, thanks for joining us. We're just about to leave Kasane for Savuti. I've just taken a walk to the breakfast place. It's not so early, well, not as early as it could have been, but nevertheless, we need to hit the road now. Very sandy tracks. We've prepared as best we can. Not 100% sure if our preparations are enough, but I suppose the experience will teach us. So, see you on the road. So this is the sand that we are contending with. We're about, say, 35 kilometers or so from Savuti campsite. Sometimes both axles go into a trough at the same time, so you bottom out a few times. It's a very shaky experience. Savuti camp is unfenced. Now, we're not brave enough to stay outside for too long after the sun sets. So we want to get to Savuti, set up and settle down before then. We've arrived, say about an hour ago or so. We've set up. Solar light busy charging there. Still a bit of disarray, but we need to patch it up before dark and we need to be indoors. And that's it. Catch you in the morning. After all those sounds and movements during the night, we spent some time waiting for the sun to rise and also using our external camera to see if there was anything big or dangerous lurking outside. So it's the next morning here at Savuti camp. Showers have been had, coffee has been done. It's quite late in the morning. It's 2:10 now. We've got to a late start, deliberately so. So last night I heard what was an elephant pulling the branches off these trees, shrubs, trees, and I was a bit concerned. Anyway, the elephant walked past here. These are his footprints. Sure you can see that. Okay, just to reference, here's the tent, and well, there's three here. Here are the elephant footprints. This is probably where his trunk rested. And then here the footprints go past the car. We are on the sandy roads of Savuti in the Ngoma National Park, around Savuti campsite. So we were about to pass by when someone stopped us to tell us that there are lions under the tree. So we have 3 adult lionesses and 4 cubs. Very beautiful sighting, thanks to this guy. These are just some of the shots that we took while driving around the Savuti area. Birds often rival the mammals for our attention. This copse of baobabs are part of an experimental study to help protect the trees against the impact of drought, fires, elephants and climate change. So camping isn't something that you do just because. It's something you do because you want to. Camping is a bit of work. If you want to camp and you want to see wild animals and you want to be in the bush and you want to sweat and just be at one with nature, then you do this kind of thing. In an unfenced camp, that's a sand pit, sand galore. So we're going to go and camp again at our next place. Maybe about 4 hours drive that way. And so leave the campsite as you found it, as best you can. Cheers, we'll be on our way. All packed up, ready to go. Ta-da! Bye-bye! So this ahead is the main road out of Savuti. Down to Kasane and Maun. Yeah, we've hit the freeway now. We are still on Sandridge Road, not far from the southern gate of Ngoma National Park. So from there we will connect with the transit road and head west towards Kwai Safari Grounds, and we should still be able to get there with enough time for setting up the camp, having supper, settling down and maybe making a fire. Night has fallen and 4 vehicles have pulled up
about 15 minutes ago. They got a safety briefing and they are now busy pitching tents. It's quite dark. They're using headlights and so on. Anyway, it's time for us to go in, really. But this is what's going on that side. Hey, where those lights are? Those are people busy pitching tents. So we are going on a Mokoro trip. Here's the Mokoro. It is a piece of wood hollowed out. No. It's now fiberglass. Just before our guide arrived with the Mokoro at our campsite, a hippo bellowed in the water about 50 meters to our left. So we told the guide and he said, no, there's no problem. That's just Solo. He's a lone hippo and he never comes out on this side of the river anyway. So we didn't see any hippo tracks on our side of the river, but it was a bit disconcerting that there was a hippo just there. Anyway, we then proceeded upriver with the guide, and then we were joined by some Mokoros from another camp, and then together we went further upriver, and then we were stopped by an elephant. In fact, there were a few elephants in the water. And then the guide started chasing the elephants by banging on the side of the Mokoro with the sticks, and then with the poles that they used to propel the Mokoro, and making sounds with their tongues and shouting at the elephants. And they actually left the water and went off into the bush, and we passed the area and we went further upriver for about an hour or so, and then saw different things, trees in the water that had died, that had picked up some of the sediment or the nutrients in the water and somehow are preserved in their dead state in the water. And there are also camps alongside the banks of the river. So when we came back, the elephants were yet again in the water, and again we spent some time chasing them away. We just sat, of course, but the guides got them out of the water, and then we went back to our campsite. It was a lovely experience though, being in the water, in the Okavango Delta, in the Mokoro, between the hippo grass and other grasses and the reeds, seeing the water lilies and the flowers, and being aware that below the surface of the water there may be crocodiles and there may be hippos, and the guides were always keeping close to the grass, not going into open water. So different ways of getting around and giving us a really enjoyable experience. So we'll certainly recommend it, and we'll certainly come again. So we are finally done here at Kauai Safari Grounds. We are actually going to miss this place. Time to go, so we've cleaned up and we are ready to leave. This is the scene we are leaving behind. In a minute or so we'll be starting to set up at Kauai campsite, which is in Moremi and not far from here. So this was known as North Bridge. It's called Kauai Bridge now. So we'll just go over slowly to the other side. As you can see, it's a wooden bridge, but on the other side is the office to Moremi Game Reserve, and so we need to check in over there. And we have a campsite booked, one of these campsites on the left side across the river. So hopefully it's close to the ablution blocks, because it's better when you're close to the toilet, otherwise you need to drive, just to prevent a wildlife encounter while you're on your feet. It's better if you're in a vehicle or in a tent. Anyway, just a few minutes ago, some South Africans came across here also. They drove past us, went to the end of the bridge, all turned around and came back up again towards us, to where we come from now, and they had their cameras out and going on quite a bit, so I suppose they were also creating content. Anyway, here we are. Okay, so it's a little while later and the tent is set up. The wind is quite strong here, so it's a bit out of shape. I've put 2 guy ropes on the side the wind is coming from, and hopefully it keeps. The wind died down later in the afternoon, so we decided to braai. And while we were sitting and eating, this big guy came upon us suddenly but silently. So we got up slowly and then got into the car and sat there with one finger on the starter button while trying to look invisible. This is about 7 meters away from us. So later on we went to drive around in the park and we saw quite a number of animals.
On the way back to camp in the late afternoon sun. It is a unfenced campsite, so Kwai village is just like that behind me now, through the trees there behind me. And so you can hear the music and you can hear the people talking. Many of their yards are also unfenced, so they grow up like this. In the delta, they grow up, the children grow up with lions walking around in the streets, elephants coming to the back door. So they have to find some ways and means of protecting their crops and their taps and so on, because elephants also, they consume vast quantities of water, maybe like 200 liters of water a day. So they will break open pipes. They consume about 300 kilograms of food, of leaves and branches and foliage, 300 kilograms. They poof out about 200 kilograms of used food, and they've got very inefficient digestive systems, very inefficient. So you get lots of sticks in there, so don't drive over elephant poof, because you might get a long stick in there which goes right through your tire. So maybe not the thing to do. So we have arrived at Kasane community campsite. So local community runs the campsite. Our campsite is called Elephant Grove. Now right across there are elephants. There were some elephants at work here, uprooting the trees. Elephants like that kind of nonsense. They just uproot trees for no reason. So ablutions are right here, down this path. Over there is the outhouse. And also a tap, which I have yet to check. A non-working tap. It's just a pipe that was attached to something, so the elephants have obviously pulled that one up from wherever it was. Well, now that we've set up camp and we've had lunch and we've kind of settled in, it brings us to another aspect of travel between Kasane and Maun along the Sandridge Road, and that's a matter of fuel. There are no fuel stops between Kasane and Maun, and the roads are very sandy. You end up in slow going, in sandy conditions, forward drive all the way, and when you're going through that deep sand, it consumes a prodigious amount of fuel. So you do need to carry extra. So this is the last update here from the Okavango Delta. Last stop before Maun. Tomorrow it's about, say, an hour, 30 minutes drive. That's it, the sun is going down.